Namaskritya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtadhishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha 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 Radhe Jaya Radha Krishna Krishna Radhe Jaya Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Yashoda Damodar Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Kartik Maas ki jai, Shri Radha Damodar, Yashoda Damodar ki jai. Welcome everybody once again. Let's turn to page 1 of our Bhagavad Gita as it is and proceed to read the introduction prayer. All together. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakharvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vrindeshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Okay, dear devotees. So last week, we said that we discussed a little bit on the month of Kartik, and all of you had a little bit of reading to do on certain topics. So I'm hoping that you'll have actually done that and are ready to share your realizations on the topics that were given. The first topic that we gave was on the appearance of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. And the second topic was on Shri Giriraj Govardhana. Right. So I'm going to start from the top. Kadruta Mataji, were you here last week? Did you prepare on any topic?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
about it, because my humble obeisances. I can say something about Radha Kund and Shyam Kund.
Okay,
The most spiritual kunds. They are located in a village called
okay. All right, Mataji, you can
Sundri,
start.
about 3 miles northeast of Govardhana and 14 miles from Madura and Vrindavan. And they represent the eyes of Govardhan, which is in the shape of a peacock. Um, this is the place where Radha and Krishna perform their most sweet and intimate pastimes. One of the demons, named Arishta, was sent by the evil Kamsa to kill Krishna and Balaram, assumed the form of a Baal and attacked Krishna. But he was easily overpowered and was instead killed by the Lord. After the pastime took place in one afternoon when Krishna and his cowherd friends were herding the cattle. In that night, when Krishna went to meet Srimati Radharani, she jokingly, because she wanted to forbid him to touch her, and said, "Today you have killed a bull which belongs to the cow's family, and you have therefore committed a sin of killing a cow. Please do not touch me, my pure body." Krishna smilingly replied that the bull was in fact a dangerous demon, and so by killing it, he incurred no sin. But Radharani refused to accept his explanation, and her Sakis were supported her. Krishna then asked how he could atone from the sin. In reply, Radharani said that the only way to atone the sin is to take bath in every holy place in the world. To fulfill her desire, Krishna, of course, um, wanted to do a large count by striking the ground with his heel. He then invoked all the holy places from all over the planet, and when they appeared in front of him, he asked their personified forms um, to enter into the Kund in the form of water, which they promptly did. Within that moment, the Kund was filled with the most pure and sacred water. Krishna then bathed in it and approached Radharani, having atoned for the sin of killing the bow. He was very proud and bragged about how to his Kund was the most beautiful and how great he was in creating such a Kund. Hearing Radharani, along with her Sakis, decided to create an even more beautiful and more wonderful Kund besides the one created by Krishna by digging the place with their bracelets. When not appeared even a drop of water in the Kund, Krishna told to them that they can take water from his Kund. Radharani refused, of course, because she was very proud, and she, along with her Sakis, decided to fill their Kund by carrying water from Manasi Kund, I think, Manasi Ganga, in clay water pots. Sri Krishna signaled this to the holy places that they should insist that Radharani and her Sakis fill up their Kund with water from his Kund. The holy places personified pray to Radharani and her Sakis and pleased them by glorifying them in many ways. She then mercifully gave them the purity to enter into the Kund, and immediately a current of water flowed from Krishna Kund to Radha Kund, appeared and fulfilled her Kund. This is the history of appeared of these two Kundas. And then after Krishna disappeared from this world, they was forgotten. And in the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Vrindavan and stayed there for 2 months. And he decided to discover again these two kundas. And in this way, they became alive. And in nowadays, in the 8 days of Kartik Purnima, we all celebrate the appearance of these two kundas. And of course, the demon who tried to kill Krishna and Balaram, they are the symbol for our obstacles in our devotional service. And Krishna told to Radharani, who will take base in your Kund will have all your love, because this Kund is the same dear to me like you are to me. And in this way, all the devotees are going there year after year and try to be blessed and to have the mercy of Radharani and Krishna basing in this Kund. But of course, they have to not to go in a mundane mode and take base like every people, but with great reverence and respect for what they represent. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Kadrita Mataji. Thank you for reading and researching and sharing what you've read. So we did discuss briefly the appearance. No, we didn't discuss the appearance of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund last week. But everybody's heard what Kadrita Mataji has related to us. So that's the story behind the appearance of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. There's also, I'm sure some of you have come across it, there's a nice summary that was given on the appearance of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund by His Holiness Radhanath Swami. It's just like a very brief introduction that was given. Okay, I'm just trying to find it quickly. Sorry, this is by His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami. All right, so basically what happened here is after, many demons used to attack Vrindavan, attempt rather to attack Krishna and to vanquish Krishna. Now, these demons used to be sent by the cruel, wicked king called Kamsa. Kamsa was the maternal uncle of Krishna. Now, Kamsa was given this prophecy that he will be killed by the 8th son of Devaki. And the 8th son of Devaki was Krishna. By that time, Kamsa had realized this, that his angel of death is out there somewhere, and suspected that this personality was Krishna. So he continuously sent demon upon demon to attack Krishna and attempt to kill him. But every time a demon approached Krishna, Krishna killed the demon. So likewise, one day, this demon called Aristasur was sent to kill Krishna. Aristasur took the form of a bull. Now, a bull is a male calf, a male cow. As we all know, the cow is a very sacred animal in our culture. It's actually a sacred animal, should be a sacred animal to the entire world. The cow is considered one of our 7 mothers. We have 7 mothers, right? Namely, your biological mother, your nurse, Mother Earth, and the cow likewise is considered one of our mothers. The cow gives us milk, and therefore we consider the cow as our mother. Krishna appeared on this earth to vanquish the demons and protect the brahmanas and the cows. Brahmanas meaning all devotees, to protect his devotees and the cows, and also to give us his association and enact all these pastimes in order to attract us. Right? That was Krishna's purpose. So the fact that now Krishna killed this bull demon, this bull, male cow, who was actually a demon, didn't go down too well for the gopis. The gopis accused Krishna and said to Krishna, you are now contaminated because you killed Aristasur, doesn't matter he was a demon, he was in the form of a male cow. And cows are very sacred to us. So we now consider you to be contaminated. Krishna said, no, nevertheless, it's fine. He's tried to explain and put forward his case that this is why he killed the demon, but they were not interested. They said, Krishna, we do not want your association. You are now contaminated. Now, such was the loving relationship between Krishna and the gopis, because they didn't see Krishna as God. They saw Krishna as their very dear associate, intimate associate. And just like the Gopas saw Krishna as their dear friend, and Mother Yashoda saw as Krishna as her son. So Maya Devi covered, basically, she cast a covering over so that the Gopas and Mother Yashoda and the Gopis alike didn't see Krishna as God. Because if they did, they wouldn't have happened, they wouldn't have had this loving, sweet exchanges with Krishna. And Krishna wanted these loving, sweet exchanges because, as I said, Krishna came here to give us, to attract us by enacting these beautiful pastimes as well. Right, so back to this story now. So Krishna now was instructed to go and take a bathe in all the holy waters. You must go now, Krishna, the gopi said. Go and bathe in the Ganga. Go bathe in all the holy waters around the world. Krishna thinks to himself, how is he going to go around the whole world and not bathe in the holy waters? Rather, he invoked the holy waters to come to him. And Krishna could do that, right? Because Krishna he is God. He's the source of creation. All these holy waters were Krishna's servants. So Krishna struck the ground, made like a big imprint in the ground, like a hole, and prayed to the holy water rivers and said, invoked them and said, please come and fill up my Kund. And all these waters came. Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri, Narmada, Yamuna, Saraswati, all these holy waters came into this Kund and filled it up. Big pool of water. Then Krishna went in, took a dip, and he said, well, now I am cleansed. What do you gopis have to say about yourselves? Now that I am cleaned up of all my sins, what about you? You were fighting with the demon. Aristasur was a bull. A demon. So now you are contaminated. Now you have to take a bath in the holy water as well. But the gopis didn't want to hear anything about it. They said, no, Krishna. You have now had a bath in that Kund, and all your negativity has transformed into that water. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We'll build our own Kund. So Radharani proceeded. And she took her bangle, as Kapita Mataji said, and dug a hole. And they formed a long chain. And they said, we will bring our own water from the Ganga river, Manasi Ganga. And they kept on, they made a chain and they passed pot to gopi, to gopi, to gopi. And they kept on filling that Kund. It was becoming very tiring. And Krishna noticed it. So Krishna prayed to the holy rivers and said, please fill up Srimati Radharani's Kund. And all these holy rivers entered into her Kund as well, obeying their master Krishna, filled up her Kund as well. So she had a holy Kund as well. And then, after that, Radharani and the gopis went into their Kund. But then Krishna said, from that day onwards, he said, your Kund, Radha Kund, will be the most favorite place. And it will be my favorite Kund and the most favorite place in Vrindavan. Most dear to me will be your Kund, Sri Radha Kund. Therefore, when devotees go to Sri Dham Vrindavan, they find it, they understand and consider it very important to visit all the holy places, and especially Govardhana Hill, and more especially Shyam Kund and Radha Kund. And it is said that if one takes a dip in Radha Kund, they can get rid of many of their sins. And very nicely, His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Maharaj ends up by saying here that, I'll read it out to you. He says, thus in Vrindavan, we have Shyam Kund and Radha Kund, divine lakes of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Such eternal places that exist in the spiritual world are manifested within the material universe by divine arrangement of the Supreme Lord in order to make his mercy widely available. These places are even accessible, at least to a degree, to the conditioned souls like us. And that is just extraordinary. Such is the inconceivable mercy of the Lord. So whatever we see here on this earthly planet in Vrindavan is in the spiritual world. The entire spiritual world descended to Vrindavan, and that's why it's such a holy place. So the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, had brought everything down to this earthly planet, and it's not different from the spiritual planet. Therefore, Maharaj is saying here that even we, conditioned souls, can benefit from that mercy by going and visiting these holy places and taking bath in the holy place. And we said last week that Radha Kund appeared at midnight, and during the month of Kartik, devotees go there and they wait till midnight and they do all their offerings to Srimati Radharani in the holy Kund. Then they take a bath. Remember last week? Okay, that's appearance of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. So, does anybody else want to share any realization of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund? Let's hear from others. Anything that you've learned from this past time, anything that we missed out and you want to contribute, any questions you may have?
Hari Bol, Hari Krishna,
Veronica.
Hari Bol. I read something from Nectar of Instruction about Radha Kund.
Yes.
I do have it. Do you want me to share a little bit on it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. It's from the Nectar of Instruction, and it's by Srila Prabhupada. It says there, the appearance day of Radha Kund, Bahulastami. That's what it is.
Yes, Bahulastami.
The appearance of Radha Kund is commonly referred to as Bahulastami. Bahulastami is a beautiful pastime wherein the cow Bahula takes shelter of Krishna. On the bank of Krishna Kund in Vrindavan are deities of a cow and her calf, a Brahmana, a tiger, and Krishna, all of which remind pilgrims of the beautiful pastimes of Bahula. Once the cow Bahula was peacefully grazing when a tiger attacked her. Bahula requested the tiger to allow her to return to her calf, feed it, and bid it farewell before it made a meal of her. Agreeing to her proposal, the tiger waited for her to return. In the meantime, the cow went to her master, a Brahmin, and to her calf and told him what had happened. When they heard her pitiful story, they volunteered themselves to go in her place as the tiger's meal. Bahula declined their selfless offer, but in the end, all three, cow, calf, and Brahmin, returned to offer themselves to the tiger, who was delighted by this exceedingly favorable turn of events. While the tiger contemplated which victim to eat first, who should appear but Lord Krishna, the presiding deity of Dharma and the guardian of all the residents of Raj. Holding his chakra in one hand, Krishna assured the tiger of everlasting fame if he were to show leniency to the cow and its kin for their truthful and honorable conduct. The tiger released Bahula from her promise, and the calf and Brahmin rejoiced on their mother being spared and felt blessed by Krishna's merciful intervention. Being so pleased with Bahula's truthfulness and integrity, Krishna named the forest after her Bahulavan and blessed her to become his consort. Thus, in her next birth, Bahul became one of Krishna's wives. This day was also named after her, Bahulastami. The glories of Sri Radha Kund. Why Radha Kund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake Sri Radha Kund is also described by great sages as a lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radha Kund and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Radha Kund is very rarely attained, even by great personalities, fully engaged in devotional service, not to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. It is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once takes part in Radha Kund. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radha Kund, he should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is the most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in this connection that Radha Kund is the most select place for those interested in advancing in their devotional service in the wake of the lady friend Sakis and the confidential service maids Manjuris of Srimati Radharani. Living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental kingdom of God, Golok Vrindavan, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddha Deha, should live at Radha Kund, take shelter of the confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction, engage constantly in her service. This is the most exalted method of those engaged in devotional service under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a little bit more. Must I just finish it? Haribol.
Haribol?
There's just a little bit more to read. Must I just complete it?
Yeah, if you can, yeah.
Okay.
Haribol?
The
You
next
with us?
In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narad and Sanaka do not get an opportunity to come to Radha Kund to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radha Kund and bathe even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna, exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radha Kund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Radha, Sri Radha, and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the banks of Radha Kund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radha Kund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is a difficult position to attain, even for great sages and devotees like Narad. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radha Kund. By serving Radha Kund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis. That was Nectar of Instruction, text 11. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. It's so nice to note that all of you have read, and it's very important to read and understand and glorify the Lord and his pastimes. And more importantly, to share it with others. That's very important. All right. Anybody else wants to say anything? Just one or two lines on Radha Kund, anything that you stood out when you did your reading? Before we proceed, I still want to do Giriraj Govardhana appearance and read one shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Anything else on Radha Kund from anybody? Okay, let's move on to Shri Giriraj Govardhana. I don't know how many of you have read on that. I just want to share with you all something very quickly. You see, Giriraj Govardhana, okay, The entire of Vrindavan, as I said earlier on, descended from the spiritual world. Therefore, we say the Vrindavan here is not different from Vrindavan in the spiritual world. The only difference we may perceive is that because we are conditioned souls and we are covered by Maya and material conditioning, we don't see Vrindavan for the true beauty that Vrindavan is. You need divine eyes to see Vrindavan. You need a pure heart to see Vrindavan. You need to be a devotee attracted to Krishna to see Vrindavan. You don't see it with material eyes. So therefore, understand one thing, that Giriraj Govardhan himself, just like Radha Kund, was in the spiritual world and descended down here to the material world for our benefit. So I just want to share this little thing that I read here by His Holiness Radhanath Swami, that I'm just going to pull out an extract. He says here, on one day, and please understand, in the spiritual world, when we speak about the days, it is not limited to time references that we have in this world, right? Srimati Radharani, in the arena of the Ras Leela, appealed to Sri Krishna. She said, if you are pleased with my love, the love of the gopis, the forest of Vrindavan, and the arena of our Rasa dance, then please fulfill the desire of my heart. Krishna responded that he would fulfill whatever desire was there in her heart. Srimati Radharani, she prayed for this by saying, please create the supreme, most pleasurable place where we would perform our pastimes. So Radharani's request was this. She wants a place, very pleasurable place, where they could perform their pastime. Then this is what happened next. Krishna then closed his eyes, and with his divine awareness, searched for every essence of love in his heart. Now remember, Krishna is love personified too, right? From that essence of Krishna's love emerged a tiny seed. That seed fell right in the holy place of the Ras Mandal. Ras Mandal is the area where the Ras dance took place. It grew into a tiny stone, then a rock, then a hill, and a great mountain. Srimati Radharani, all the gopis were watching. Right before their eyes, this mountain just blossomed with unlimited kalpa vriksha trees and beautiful lakes, rivers, and caves filled with precious jewels. And that mountain was Shri Giriraj Govardhan. And that's where Krishna and the gopis and the gopas and the cows and the cowherd boys spent a lot of their time. Right. Just wanted to share that with you all on the appearance of Giriraj Govardhan, that from the spiritual world, Giriraj Govardhan descended. Of course, there's another pastime background, but I don't want to give everything away because I'm sure some of you have prepared on Giriraj Govardhan. So who wants to go? Anybody wants to share? Shalina Mataji, you did something? Oh, Madhavi Mataji. Okay, thank you.
Okay, for the Govardhan pastime, Govardhan Hill is the best. Oh, to my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balram along with the cows, the cowhead friends with all the necessities, water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruit, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord because it's been touched by the feet of Krishna and Balram. This hill appears to be very jubilant. So it's very special to Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. That's so sweet. That's a nice little offering you've given me. Very lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wants to share anything on Giriraj Govardhan before I proceed?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Shalina Mataji.
So the pastime performed by the Lord was to remove the pride from Indra Dev, and I think we too can learn from this and rid ourselves of pride. And another realization is that the Lord lifted such a huge hill with his left pinky, which is such a worthless and weak finger in our entire body. So it just goes to show the strength of the Lord when you have the Lord's protection over you, and his strength is actually beyond comprehension. So, you know, the residents had full protection, and so do we. So imagine if the Lord just have to lift a hand to protect us, what sort of protection that would give us. And well, I hope to someday be sitting at Govardhan's lotus feet and maybe think about this pastime. So thank you, Mataji, for this opportunity of helping us realize how beautiful this Leela is. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shalina Mataji. Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to know that everybody's been reading. I really am. It's really sweet. Anybody else wants to share anything? Paramatma Prabhu?
Haribol, I just want to, Shalina Mataji said such a beautiful thing about the left,
Yeah.
about the baby finger. And also, I just wanted to add, it was also his left hand. It wasn't his dominant hand. Apparently, his dominant hand, Krishna, Mother Yashoda used to say, Krishna's dominant hand was his right hand. So he showed his great love and how obviously showed his strength by lifting up with his left hand.
Yes.
So that shows how powerful our Krishna was.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the Lord possesses 6 opulences in full. Right? 6 opulences in full. You're going to help me out here if I forget, right? So strength, it was displayed in this lifting of the Govardhana hill with his little finger for 7 days and 7 nights. Krishna possesses all beauty. He's a total renunciant. Possesses all the wealth. Possesses all beauty. And he possesses all fame. 6 opulences. So the Govardhana pastime shows us Krishna's strength. Right? Now there's a little story leading to Govardhana pastime. I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, but let's glorify and let's discuss it quickly before we read another sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Now, so one day everybody was getting busy in Vrindavan. All the Gopas and Gopis, the elders, were making very beautiful arrangements for sadhana preparation and all of that to do Indra Puja. Indra is the god of rain. He's the god of the heavenly planets. Right? So they were busy doing all these preparations, and they're going to do Indra Puja now. Prayer to Indra Dev. Because Indra Dev supplied them with rain, and the rain helps their crops grow. And they would have got abundance of grains. Like we know, we're dependent on rain for all of that. So Krishna went to Nanda Maharaj and he said, please tell me, dear father, what is this that you are busy doing? And the father explains to him, it's Indra Puja. And he asked, why are you doing it? And then Nanda Maharaj said, because Indra Dev, he gives us rain. And when he gives us rain, then our crops grow. And we have plenty of food and grains. So Krishna says, but father, I don't understand. Why? There are so many devatas or demigods. It means that you've got to pray to every single one. Because they all are in charge of something. They all do something for this material creation. So why only Indradev? But furthermore, Indradev is just doing his job. He has to give rain because he's in charge of giving rain. And the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he works under the direction of Lord Vishnu. So really speaking, Indra is just doing his job. I think that you should all pray to Govardhan, Krishna says. Because Giriraj Govardhan, he supplies this little village of Vrindavan with everything that we need. He's got rivers and springs and beautiful, tasty grass for our cows, where our cows and calves graze. We can obtain water from there. We've got trees and fruit that it supplies. All the necessities that we need come from Govardhan Hill. So I would say, pray to Giriraj Govardhan. And then the priest was there. And when he heard little Krishna speak like that to Nanda Maharaj, he backed it up and said, you know, Nanda Maharaj, Krishna is right. And then everybody decided to go, and he instructed everyone to go to Govardhana hill with all the offerings that they had now made for Indra there, take it to Govardhana and do the puja there. Now, there was a reason for this as well, another hidden reason. Krishna did this deliberately because Indra, at that time, simultaneously, was full of pride. He was very puffed up. And he disrespected his spiritual master and said that he supplies everything. And the residents of Vrindavan, they all prayed to him, and he's so proud of it. And he said, and then his spiritual master said to him, Indra, be careful, do not have pride. I am warning you, you are my disciple and I'm protecting you. Do not have pride. Remember that Vishnu is the ultimate source of everything. So you are only working on his direction, but Indra wouldn't hear of it. So Krishna decided that he's going to teach Indradeva a lesson. They started the Govardhan prayer, and then Indra said he's going to teach Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan a lesson. He sent down torrents of rain. The rain wasn't like droplets like we get, or hailstones that we get. It rained pillars at a time. One drop was like a whole pillar. And his intention was to flood Vrindavan. It's so intensely and beautifully described in Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Krishna book. If you pick up the Krishna book and read it, read that chapter and you'll see the description. So eventually the lightning and the thunder and everything came at one go. Wind and you name it. It was a very fierce storm. Indra tried with all his might. The residents were becoming a little bit worried, and some of them said that, look, Krishna, you have angered Indra. They have now look what's happening. He's trying to flood Vrindavan. Krishna said, don't worry, I will protect you. So he went to Giriraj Govardhan and he lifted it up like an umbrella, like this little finger. And he held it up for the 7 days and 7 nights for the duration of that storm. And he invited all the residents to take shelter under Govardhan hill. Eventually, Indra realized that Krishna can be nobody else but God himself, but Bhagwan himself. And he gave up and he fell down. Krishna just played his flute to comfort the Gopas and the Gopis. And Indra eventually just fell to the ground. And he was very, very embarrassed about it. So he goes to Krishna and begs for forgiveness, says to Krishna, I have been so foolish, please forgive me. And Indra brought these cows, the Surabhi cows, to bathe Krishna, to do Abhishek. You know how we do Abhishek with milk on the deity? Like that. The cows sprayed milk onto Krishna so as to bathe him. So there's a Kund there where this pastime took place, right there by Govardhan hill. And if one day you go visit it, or some of you may have visited this place, it's called Govinda Kund, where Krishna was bathed by the Surabhi cow and worshipped by Indra. So Krishna broke Indra's pride. That's what Veronica Mataji was reading from that extract as well. Okay, so that's a holy appearance of Giriraj Govardhan. That's a katha of Giriraj Govardhan. So Shri Giriraj Govardhan Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund or Sham Kund ki jai. Okay, anybody wants to share any realizations, and then we'll read one verse at least before we conclude today's lesson. This is Bhagavad Gita reading session. That is month of Kartik, and we thought it's very nice to incorporate some of these pastimes in Kartik. Anybody want to say anything on Govardhan pastime? Or can we go to the verse? All right, what verse did we stop at last week? Was it verse 3? We read verse 3, chapter 3. Correct? Anybody can tell? Please help. Did we read chapter 3? I mean verse 3. Text 3 we read, isn't it?
Text 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Philosophical speculation and devotional service. Okay, so we're going to read 4 today. Right. Karmanam manabharnam naishkarmamya purushošnute Nacha sannyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. So now, Bhagavan or Krishna is saying, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So I'll read the purport. The renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified by the discharge of prescribed forms of duties, which are laid down just to purify the hearts of materialistic men. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, sannyas. According to the empirical philosophers, simply by adopting sannyas or retiring from fruitive activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayan. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of the heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the other hand, if someone takes to the transcendental service of the Lord, even without discharging his prescribed duties, whatever he may be able to advance in the cause is accepted by the Lord, Buddhi Yoga. Sva alpam api asma dharmasya prayate mahato bhaye. Even a slight performance of such a principle enables one to overcome great difficulty. Okay, so what is Krishna saying here? The renounced order of life is what? It's sannyas. It's the last of the social orders. So we have social orders that start from, what are the four social orders? Who can name one, please, somebody? Who wants to start social orders? Brahmachari? That's when you were a student, right? Next.
Grihastha life.
Grihastha life, which is, in English?
Household.
Householder, right? That's most of us. Then after householder life, Grihastha life, we get what? Ashram? Vanaprastha, which is when you reach that age where it's before sannyas, but after householder, when you start winding down, when you're proceeding to retirement now, right? In material terms, retirement, you're heading for retirement, like that spiritually now, you're retiring from household life. And back then, in the previous eras, what people used to do is they used to leave their homes, husbands and wives together generally, and they used to go into meditation and dedicate much of their time to devotional service, basically. And after that comes sannyas, which is the renounced order. Now we are familiar with sannyas. We have many sannyas gurus in our movement where they've given up everything. They wear the orange garb and they go from place to place just preaching. They leave their families to accept the entire world as their families. So they have many children, the entire world become their families or their children. And they go around spreading this spiritual knowledge to everybody. That's sannyas. Now Krishna is saying here that without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, which is sannyas. So what Krishna encourages is this gradual process. That's why he formed it for us. You start as a brahmachari, your student life, like you go to school, but you in this material day and age, let's apply personal application. But at the same time, we have to gain the spiritual knowledge. What we're doing right now, our children, we try to send them to spiritual schools, to our gurukuls, and places like, where your mosques or your churches or your temples teach spiritual knowledge. That's brahmachari's day, right? Then you move into householder life. Some people choose to remain as brahmachari and not become householders, but you've got to go through the gradual process. Krishna says it's more beneficial. And what Krishna goes on to say here, on the other hand, if someone takes, he says here, right, but the Lord does not approve of this principle. Without purification of heart, sannyas is simply a disturbance to social order. So in other words, you may not be ready for it. One may not be ready for it in their minds. They've just skipped all these social orders and jumped into sannyas. Therefore, gradual process, Krishna says, is more beneficial. And in the gradual process, Krishna says, you execute what? You execute. We've been talking about it over and over again, Shalina Mataji. What do you execute throughout your life? Through the 4 ashrams. What does Krishna want us to execute?
Devotional service.
Yes, devotional service. Right, Shalina Mataji?
I was about to say devotional service.
I know your cash because I saw you unmuting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Krishna is recommending to us here. And then he's going to tell us more in chapter 3, but we're going to have to leave the next verse. Oh. Okay. So we'll end up with Nishingadev Pranams. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. After the month of Kartik, we'll go more into our Bhagavad Gita reading. We'll just be reading Bhagavad Gita again. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So who's going to lead Nishingadev Pranams for us today? Any takers?
I think maybe Shalina Mataji
Monica?
said.
Who wants to do it? Shalina Mataji. Who's leading for us today?
I think Shalina Mataji.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just calling it up quickly.
Okay, Mother. Just trying to find the correct page. Okay, I'm sharing it. Got it. It's up on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, can everybody see? Okay, right. Let's go. Nishingadev Pranam.
Namaste Narsimhaya Praladadayine Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito Nirsimha Parato Nirsimha Yato Yamitato Nirsimha Pair Nirsimha Hridaye Nirsimha Narishim Amadim Sharanam Prapade Tava Karakamalabare Nakam Atputta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Vrinda Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nashingadev 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 Jaya Nashingadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Om Namo Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivargacharya Stotra, His Divine Grace of Acharya in the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivargacharya Stotra, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaur Bhakti Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shri Vrindavan Dham Mathura Dham Mayapur Jagannath Puri Vadi Kurukshetra Ayodhya Dwarika Dham Ki Jai Shri Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Nandakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the same devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the same devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the same devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Kartik Mas ki jai, Shri Damodar Mas ki jai, Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar ki jai, Shri Radhika Damodar ki jai, Hare Krishna. Does anybody else want to share any realizations? We've got about 2 minutes. Anyone who didn't speak, get a chance to speak and wanted to say something. See, there's a Shamla Mataji here and a Premila Mataji. I think you're new to the group. Welcome.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Premila Mataji is Rasavati.
Anyone?
I think
Anyone?
I went wrong
Rasavati
with-
Mataji. Okay, so the name is okay.
Something's wrong with my connection.
That's fine. That's fine.
She says, I'm having a problem hearing and she can't hear, she can't see. See.
What do you mean?
Who is this? Haribo?
What do you mean? How do you mean?
It's Veronica
Okay.
Mataji. She needs
Okay,
to
I've
hear-
muted her.
Yeah, thank you.
I've muted her. Okay, anyone want to share any realizations? You're all good until next week? No more homework. Who wants to offer anything next week? Still Karthik. I think next week is the last Sunday of Karthik. Oh, Bhishma Panchak is next week. Maybe I'll brief you all on Bhishma Panchak next week, right? A little bit Glory and Karthik every week. And then we'll do reading. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. If there's nothing else, we'll meet again next week. All right.
Right. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for joining
Thank you,
us. Till
Hare
next
Krishna.
week. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.